Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Cody, and today I am going to show you guys the #1 recipe that I make in my home. I make this recipe, if not daily, very close to daily. I use it for so many things, and that is just my basic white bread recipe. Now I know that right now sourdough is like everywhere. And I'm going to say the thing that I think that all crunchy moms or moms of my generation really aren't supposed to say out loud, and that is, I don't actually like sourdough. I don't like the flavor of it. I love the smell of it. I love baking it. I love how it looks. I love the health benefits of it, but I can't get into it. And so it's just not the main bread that is made in our home. I have a sourdough starter. I do use it. I do make baguettes with it. We do very much enjoy that. But my family and I just cannot get into sourdough as like a sandwich bread. So I am going to show you the bread recipe that I do use. I will say that we don't have a gluten intolerance in our house. If we did, this probably would not work for us. But a lot of the time when I make this recipe, I do use an ancient grain called einkorn. You can find that at several places online. There are a few grocery stores that carry it. But for the most part, I do try to use einkorn whenever I'm baking bread, just because it does have a lot of those same health benefits that you can find in sourdough without having like the long fermentation process. So that's what we stick with. We do that, and then we eat a lot of yogurt to get our probiotics. So I'm going to show you guys how I make my basic white bread recipe today. I am going to go ahead and list these ingredients down below, but these are just the very basic ingredients that you need for a simple white bread recipe. So I am going to start out with 2 cups of hot water. This is just the hottest that I can get it from the tap. I do not put it in the microwave, I don't boil it, anything like that, because I don't want to kill my yeast. So after I have my water in, I'm going to immediately put in, I am doubling my recipe, so this would make 2 like regular size loaf pans, 2 13x9 pans of cinnamon rolls, but I needed a little bit extra today. So I have 2 cups of hot water in there, 2 tablespoons of instant yeast, and then you can use sugar if you want. It would be the same measurements, but I like to use honey. I just like the flavor that the honey adds to it. So I am going to use 2 tablespoons of honey. So then from there, you're just going to add your flour. So I love to use einkorn if you have access to that. It's great. I actually do the exact same measurements if I'm using einkorn, but today I am just going to use all-purpose flour in this, just because that is what most people have available. So I am going to count out. This is a 1/2 cup measure, but I need 6 cups. So I still haven't even turned my mixer on yet. The next thing that I am going to add is a tablespoon of salt. So I'm going to turn my mixer on. I'm going to start mixing it now. So you can see that this is definitely not all mixed together. There's still like clumps of flour and stuff in there, but I need to add my butter to that. So from here, oh, that's actually not enough butter. Thankfully, I had more softening. So I am going to add a stick or 1/2 cup of softened butter to that. That's going to add flavor, but it's also just going to make it really tender. And now I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to start kneading it, and I will see in just a couple minutes if I need to add a little bit more flour or if I need to add a little bit more water to it. It is not wet enough in there, so I am going to add maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of warm water in with this, just so that we can make sure and get the right consistency so that our breadcrumb will be exactly what we're looking for. We are at the consistency that I want it to be. So I am going to put my dough hook down in, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to knead it for 6 minutes nonstop. Alright, so we have been kneading now for about 6 minutes. So I'm going to pull that up and just kind of clean off. It has pulled away from the sides. I'm going to grab the camera so you guys can actually see. I have been kneading for about 6 minutes now, and it has pulled away from the sides, and if I stretch it, it does not break. So we know, well, that broke, but if you stretch it, it doesn't break. So we know that the dough has been kneaded enough. So now I just need to set it aside and let it rise. So I'm going to pull it off of my dough hook, kind of push it down the sides, and cover this and let it rise in a warm place. It's pretty warm in my house right now, so it's probably only going to take about half an hour to rise. If it's a little cooler, it might take a little bit longer than that, but we're going to wait until it has doubled in size. And for me, I know that that means that it's going to be doming on the top of this bowl.
I'm going to switch over to voiceover. We had some kids over, some friends, so it got really loud in my kitchen. So once the dough has doubled in size, I'm going to take it out, and then I will split it into 2 equal pieces because I had doubled this recipe. So I'm going to split it in 2 even pieces, and that's just going to make it a little bit easier to roll out. And then from here, I am going to just roll it out. I'm going to roll it into a rectangle, as close as I can get to a rectangle shape anyway, and then just as even all the way through as I can get it. After I get it all rolled out, I will spread softened butter all over it. And so this is, if I was going to make cinnamon rolls, this is exactly the same process I would use. Same recipe for the dough, all of that. This is where it starts to differ. So I'm going to add garlic powder all over the top of that, just like you would cinnamon sugar. And then I'm going to sprinkle on mozzarella cheese. I did go ahead and shred this myself. That just makes it melt a lot easier. It doesn't have any of that anti-clumping agent in it that you get from pre-shredded cheese. And then I'm going to just roll it up, just exactly like you would do cinnamon rolls as well. Once it's all rolled up and tucked together nicely, I grease my baking dish, and then I cut my roll into 12 even pieces, stick it in there, and then I'm gonna set that aside and let that rise again for about half an hour, and then bake it at 350 until it's golden brown and the cheese is nice and bubbly just like that.